Hello and welcome to This Car Pod.
I'm Kenan.
And we have a special Christmas episode of This Car Pod where we're primarily going to be taking your questions that you asked on our Christmas document. Filippo will step in for that, but right now we have a special guest. His name is Anders Holm, and he is a famous celebrity actor, well known from the show Workaholics, which he created and stars in, and he is selling a very special car on Cars and Bits. So with that, let's talk about the AMG Wagon. Tell us about it.
I mean, I just took it to go get washed right now, and every time, without fail, someone you drive by goes like this.
Yep.
Yep.
Especially in that color.
Because they know.
If you know, you know.
The color is weird and crazy because you just don't see it. You see white, you see black.
Right.
You always see black interior.
Right.
Mine is red. Mine is the dark brown interior with black wood, which I just don't know if it exists outside of my car.
Right. So
to be honest,
talk me through. Start with what made you purchase the car in the first place. How long have you had it?
It's your fault. I was going to build. I've had it since 2019 or 2018. You know how the years never line up.
Right.
But it is a 2019. I got it probably towards the end of the year. I was looking. I was going to build a Porsche Panamera because I just fell in love with the idea of how good it looks finally.
Right.
And I drove it and I was like, God, this feels nice. But I never quit looking for the wagon because I just knew it was everything I wanted.
Right.
And so I was going to build one. And this was a time when like the supply chain was getting all jacked up. And it was like, hey, if you want one, it's going to take 18 months, not 4 or 5 or whatever it usually was.
Right.
And so I just was like, I can't handle this. And so I wanted to build my AMG wagon. And then they kept being like, hey, green doesn't exist anymore. And I'd go, okay, navy. And then they'd call and go, actually, navy doesn't exist anymore either. And I'm like, well, I don't want white. I don't want black. I don't even want the matte silver, which I think looks cool, but like just isn't me. And then I just kind of sat around waiting and looking. And then out of nowhere in Arcadia, red showed up, and I'm not even like ready for a red car. It's a lot, you know, but it's fun. And the interior I hadn't thought of, that wasn't what I spec'd, but it actually looked better in person than I thought on like the, build your own car thing.
So what was the story? Was this a new car at the time, or that they just ordered for stock, or was it a used car that someone had bailed out of, or
brand new, showed up on the lot? I called the day of or the day after, and I'm like, is this someone's? And they were like, no. And so I had kind of a car guy looking for me, and I called him to call them.
That is a brave dealership ordering that color combination as a stock unit, really hoping that they find somebody for it.
I mean, you know how it goes. It must have been like a favor.
Yeah.
Right. It was like, we're going to give you all these, but we have this built sitting here and no one wants it because it's a station wagon. It's red and has ceramic brakes, which no one wants to order.
Right.
Yeah. But they look good with the red. The red and yellow looks good. So
take me through. So you've had the car now for 4, 5, 6 years. Why are you getting rid of it, and what is replacing it?
I never drive it because I'm always gone filming.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm not gone that often filming, but I like to say I am. No, but I am out of the house or out of town for at least 6 months a year, working, and my car just sits there. Yeah. And I never really drive it. And I also just, I thought about getting rid of it earlier, and I got a Tesla. I got a Model S. And then I just was like, I can't get rid of it. I can't, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was me being like, yeah, but let's go electric. Let's do that. The user interface of Tesla's just so easy, but I would take it out on the weekend and I would just haul ass around corners, and like, it just feels good. You put it in Sport Plus and it kind of just, it's exactly what you want it to be.
Do you haul children around in this car? Do you have kids?
Yeah. I got 3 kids. So
you're using it.
Pardon? Yeah, I'm using it. I've even slept in it.
Wow.
And how many AMG wagon owners can say that?
Not many.
And by the way, did I sleep in it just so someday I could go on a podcast with Doug DeMuro and say I slept in it? Maybe. You know, we gotta have 5-year plans. We gotta think these things ahead. But no, I'd seen your review of it and been like, well, if this dude's calling it the best car ever, I gotta get it, you know. And to be honest, the Panamera, it just was less user friendly as far as like packing stuff in the back, and like it's wider, it's a bigger car.
Yeah,
it's way more expensive.
Yeah.
And it's not faster.
Right.
And it's, you know, so I just started doing all the math and crunching the numbers and was like, this is it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, so are you going to replace this car with anything, or is the Model S the replacement?
The Model S is the temp replacement. My wife also has a Rivian. So what I like to tell you is that I think it's very possible that the cumulative Doug score I had in my driveway,
pretty solid.
Probably better than anybody. You have the Rivian, you have the
Unbeatable.
R1S. You have the R1S Rivian, the SUV.
yes,
Yeah.
have the SUV, have the AMG wagon,
Yeah.
and then have the Tesla S.
That's so true.
I'm in.
Because those cars hit every category, which is they're fast and they're practical and they're luxurious. And most of the time, people only get one of them, but you have, for some reason, gotten 3. You've really run the gamut.
I'm redundant. Yeah, but we just, I like I said, I was gonna get rid of the wagon, but then I just couldn't. It's too fun to drive. I never tracked it like I thought maybe I would. But I was like, well, you got to buy new tires, okay? But the thing that really tripped me up is, I was like, I'm not buying a helmet. I'm not buying a helmet to go track this one time, and then I just have a helmet in the garage that people go, "What's that?" And I go, I tracked it one time.
But the helmet is sort of like the first step to the track day problem.
Yes.
You get a helmet, you're like, well, I got a helmet already. I might as well get a race suit.
That's
the next
how
thing
you
you know, you
become
got
a degenerate.
You get right.
And maybe
Next thing
I
you know,
knew
you got a
this
car
deep down.
hauler and a trailer and all that stuff. Well, I'm excited for it to sell. I'm excited to see it on the site. Tell us what other interesting cars. Have you had interesting cars in the past, in your past life?
You know, I haven't. I wouldn't call myself a car enthusiast. I'm not somebody who can name like the actual names of all the Porsches. You know what I mean? Like by year.
None
and
of
all
us
that.
can anymore.
It's okay. You just
right?
need to know one. It's 911.
I think we
Yeah, exactly. But I am an enthusiast. I am somebody who, I'm like a design person, you know? And so, you know, even as a kid, I can remember very specific cars, but yeah, I'm a Volvo guy. I've always been a Volvo guy.
The car in the show is actually relevant to your existence, the 740.
Yes, this is true. This is and I remember when we were developing Workaholics and then we were like, oh, let's have like an old shitty car. And someone was like, what about those old cool Volvos? And I was like, I think those are too cool.
Yeah.
Let's go a few years ahead to this other body style that's not cool at all.
Right.
And let's have that be the car.
That's so true. The 240 is too cool. It has become a hipster icon. The 740 is indeed not cool. What was your first car?
My first car was a 1981 Pontiac Bonneville.
Wow.
So this was a hoopty that my mom drove through the 80s, and then I got when I was 16, and it was very old. I only had it for a few months before it crapped out, and then I got my dad's 85 Country Squire.
Oh, wow.
With wood
So
panel.
there was a wagon history here, the Country Squire to the AMG wagon. Yeah. How many people made that transition?
Not many.
I mean, it's kind of in the DNA. It's in the DNA. I have 2 older brothers. I think we went through 3 or 4 wagons between my dad and the 3 of us. We had a Mercury, but the Country Squire had like a 5-liter engine or something crazy.
Yeah. And a massive rear end and probably got 2 miles per gallon. Probably better about what you get in the AMG station wagon.
I'll tell you this, more people have slept in that than they have.
Yeah. People are still sleeping in
AMG wagons.
People are sleeping in that on the streets of LA right now.
I mean, there's no doubt. But whenever I see one go by, I'm like, the wallet opens. I'm like, do I just go buy that from that person?
No.
You know what I mean?
I promise you, I've done this myself, and I promise you the memory of the car is better than actually doing that experience again.
Right. Right.
You don't want to go
smelling whatever 40 years of car smells like that's been actually lived in.
Right. Do you think that the electric cars are going to do it for you? You think they're going to be enough for you coming out of the station wagon with the big V8? You think you'll be happy with that?
It is definitely not as sensory, like it's not as fun, but it's still fast. It's just a different kind of sensory. It doesn't hit as many boxes when you floor it.
Right.
But like you can only floor it so often before you're like, yeah.
Right. That's what it does.
It's exactly. It's kind of a one-trick pony. But I guess my question is, would you consider something that's a little bit older, more design focused, but gives you that visceral like sports car, like is a very fun toy just to have like tucked in the corner for when you are home and you want something fun?
Yeah. I've thought about it, and part of me is too like forward thinking. Like I don't want like an old radio where you have to like push the button in for like the preset to slide.
You don't have to go.
You know what I'm saying?
You don't have to go to the 50s.
Well, yeah, but like I just I want a touchscreen now. Like I want all the stuff integrated, and so I also enjoy, as much as I enjoy like a classic look of a car, I don't mind like taking a swing on something new and being like, no, this is going to be a modern day classic. Right. Like I think the next car, we have like a cabin and I need to get a car for the cabin, and maybe I bought a cabin to get a car for the cabin. The look of the new Volvo V90 wagon, like the cross country, I'm like, isn't this the best looking car on the road? What is happening?
Right. And that will get you back from wagon to wagon, and the circle will continue to complete itself.
I just think it's so sharp. If they made that electric, I think it would be my last car.
I'm sure it will be. I'm sure the next generation will have some sort of plug-in hybrid component, and you'll be able to hop right back into a station wagon like you were intended to from birth.
He's a wagon man.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited for the AMG wagon to be on the site and to see what happens to it. I'm sad that you'll be selling it, but I have to assume someone very excited will be getting that color combination. It's a very, very special car.
Yeah, and I brought it to you. I brought it to Cars and Bid because I knew that people who would be on there would get it.
Right.
This isn't something you just throw on another website I won't name. You're welcome. Because they won't get it. They'll sit there and they'll go, oh, why isn't it a sedan?
Right. We are wagon
if it was a sedan.
We've sold so many AMG. I think my audience has always been into them because I've always had all these crazy wagons. And so I've always been like the wagon central. But
G-Wagon comes up. That's why
all the G-Wagons come up. But we have sold a lot of AMG station wagons, and deservedly so. They are some of the coolest cars on the road. And I'm sad you'll be getting out of yours. But I hope there is another wagon in your future.
I think there will be. And I just want to include this tidbit. The collapsible crate that comes with the wagon is still there.
Oh, nice.
Waiting for the buyer.
Nice.
That is the kind of thing
to show that to their partner or wife or family that it's just a station wagon. That's all it is.
It's a practical car. You can convince them of that. And look how well it's been maintained. The guy still has the original collapsible crate. He's real.
Yeah, only 20,000 miles on it. So I had fun with it, but I never like really broke her in.
This is your chance to take it to a track day. Between when we're filming this and when the auction goes live, this is your opportunity to get it on the track. We don't tell anybody.
Like, why are these tires bald? I don't know. That is weird.
We won't say anything to anybody, I promise.
Yeah.
Get that helmet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it, Honors, and we look forward to the auction.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Pleasure to talk with you guys. And fingers crossed on this finding a new owner who has as much fun as I did.
As much as you do, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the next segment of the Christmas special, This Car Pod, where we answer your Christmas special questions.
I'm Filippo.
For next week...
Hi, Filippo.
Filippo's back. Got run over by a pilot support. For next week's podcast, you want to ask us questions, go to carsandbids.com, click on the community tab. There will be a post there that says, these are where you post your questions, and then you ask your questions, and we will answer them no matter how brilliant. But this week, we had a holiday special questions document. It was that one, and we're just going to answer them all. Let's do it. Not all of them. There's like 90, but we're going to answer a few. Okay, starting with Indcan, who asks a lot of questions. Hey guys, if you could go back in time and have the required funds, what do you wish your first car was based on what was available in period? Merry Christmas to all. F40.
I mean,
You don't want that to be your first car.
I don't know. I mean, he says
You don't.
it sounds like unlimited money. In theory, the car was available.
You don't want that to be your first car. How are you going to show up to your high school in an F40?
like the biggest baller there possibly could be.
No.
I'll tell you what. Whoom, bah, bah, bah,
That's how much show up.
It's flames.
No. You don't actually want an F40. What
you're
would
right.
you actually want?
F50, good point. Yeah, very practical.
Enzo, you drive.
F60.
I don't. The F50 is pretty. Easy
What would you actually want?
I don't know.
What was your first car?
I had a 1996 Volvo 850 Turbo, which in the United
Turbo.
States is 222 horsepower. In the United States, turbos were only sold. It was the top line model in 96, except for the R. That's
So it
basically
wasn't
the same.
the top of the line.
Well,
model.
the turbo and the R in the Volvo 850 community. All right, let's just do this. Nobody's gonna watch this episode. Now we're getting geek out on Volvos, but the turbo and the R in the 850 community, the R is vaunted as like the special one. In the US, they were all sold with 4-speed automatics. The R didn't have anything special. It had 18 more horsepower than the turbo, which is not anything.
20%, 10%.
It had
probably.
fog lights, Alcantara seat inserts, and different wheels. That was it.
That's 10%
was
more
it.
power. It's 10% more power.
That was it. Anyway, the point is,
When you were 16, what like in the realm of reason, like if you had instead of 850R, 850 turbo money, you had like 2 or 3 times that. What would you actually have wanted to
I really
have?
wanted a Volkswagen Corrado. That was like my
Yeah.
first. When you 2 or 3 times. What I really wanted, and I begged my parents for, was a Bug-Eye WRX, which had just come out.
Really cool.
And I don't know why I thought that was even on the table. It was a $23,000. Like the concept of us getting a car like that. They never spent that much money on a car for themselves.
Right.
But I really wanted it.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. And I still never gotten one.
I think,
You actually had a 525i?
I had an, it'll surprise people. Yeah, I had an E39. I had a 2001 E39 525i.
Facelift.
It was manual with the with the Sport Premium package. It was topaz blue with a gray interior.
Ooh.
I loved that car.
What happened to that car?
I ended up selling it when I got the M5, just because I didn't have room for it
bought
in
it?
the garage. It was very sad. I saw a guy who I thought was going to take great care of it and absolutely did not. When he called me 2 years ago and was like, "Hey, I've still got the car. It's not in great shape anymore, but if you wanted to buy it back." And I was like, "What do you mean?" Head gasket was blown. The rust had really started. He didn't have any rusts, like didn't do any preventative. And it was like the car really sunk into the ground, which made me so sad. And I saw it on Facebook Marketplace for like $1,800.
Well, he
and I was
drove
so
the car.
sad. Yeah, but I drove it and took care of it. That's the difference. Like I do with all of my
And then
cars.
that one time your dad dropped the ladder on it.
So the answer
That did happen.
The answer for you was the E39 5.
No, I mean, I ended up with one anyway. But no, so I looked at a couple of very interesting cars in period that I could have had that were great.
Yeah.
One was a 1989 Porsche 911 Carrera, the beautiful guards red,
They were
black
cheap
interior.
then.
Yeah.
It had 100,000 miles on it, and it was 12.5, I think.
What year was this?
This would have been 2012, 11, 12, I think. So I think that's right, 11 or 12. That was one. I also looked at a first gen NSX. That was around that. It was about 15 grand.
Why did you choose an E39?
My parents were like, I showed
Smart parents.
show them one thing. They're like, absolutely not. You're not driving a sports car to high school.
Yeah.
And so that didn't happen. And then I ended up getting the 525i as the first car.
But what would you, answer the question, but what would you have wished?
Well, I mean, if I could have wished anything at that time, I don't know. I really wanted an E46 M3 at that time.
Yeah.
That was like what I thought I thought an E46 M3 convertible with the hard top for like winter use would have been pretty cool.
It's hard
Take
to
my friends
explain how
around.
cool that and the S2000 were at that time. Like now they're cool, but like then I remember idolizing those cars. And there was a kid that I knew at college who had an E46 M3 when it was, and this was 2007-8. I mean, the car was 2 years old. And he was the coolest dude.
Yeah,
at
that's
college.
cool.
Period. It's just straight up the coolest dude there was.
Totally.
What was your first car? I don't know the answer.
The first car I owned was the Kia Spectre about
Yeah,
$4.
but what was the first car you drove when you were in Madison,
I-
Wisconsin as a high schooler?
A 2003 Honda Pilot.
Okay, you drove your parents' Honda Pilot. You had to be like, Mom, can I have the keys?
For a bunch of reasons, but I actually had a lot of use of the car. My mom was working in New Hampshire when we lived in Wisconsin.
That's a
most of
long
the year.
drive, so I'm surprised
So,
that she was able
she
to,
had a
willing
car
to let you have
there,
the car.
but then it was just my stepdad and I. And we actually both walked most places.
Well, yeah,
So the
because
car was-
she's using the car drive between Wisconsin and New Hampshire. What? It's an insane thing. He's insane.
yeah.
What?
I think it was just
You
commuting.
had to drive the car to Subway, or did you walk to Subway where you were?
I sometimes walked, but I did drive the car.
Filippo
sometimes,
was a Subway sandwich artist.
and then I was a senior sandwich artist.
Senior sandwich artist.
And then a shift manager, but that's
Shift manager.
I was a 17-year-old
Shift
working
manager.
every Friday night, every Saturday from 7 to 3, and every Sunday from 8 to 3.
Okay, you liked. It's incredible that you still know your schedule. At
It was every
Subway
week
in
for
high school.
every week for 2 years.
All right. You liked cars then. You probably didn't have any outlet for it.
Yeah.
You know, you're like a
I think
gay kid
I was
growing
just
up
thinking
in a
about this.
small town. You know, there's nothing. Just hoping to
Dreams. Just
someday
hopes.
get out. So what did you do? What cars were you interested
I
in?
think that I would have most loved to have either like a Saab 9.3 Sport Combi or Saab 9.5 Sport Combi or like a V70R. I don't know that I would have put those words to it, but like when I was browsing Craigslist, it was a lot of Saabs and Volvos.
Okay.
So you were
What words would you have put?
I'm a too practical person. I'm not going to buy
He was
something.
browsing Craigslist in high school looking for Saabs and Volvos, and his first car was years later in college. He bought a Kia. Even then, he was Filippo. He had all that big Subway money, and he still wasn't spending it.
so
He
close.
had aspirations of something cool, and what he did was he bought a Kia for
He
a
bought a
car.
Kia years later.
In the middle of college, I spent a summer in Madison after my family had moved, working for the Department of Ed. And I came really close to buying a Saab 900 and then driving it home. I
you
came
didn't.
so
Why
close.
didn't you?
That the guy ended up accepting out. Like I went and test drove it. He wanted $900, and then something came up. I don't remember. What it was.
You wouldn't spend $900.
No. I was ready to. Just something came. I don't remember
I
what
was
it was.
ready to.
You're gonna die and regret the things you never did. Which which are considerable.
Not only am I
this
worried about that, I'm 100% confident that that's exactly what will happen.
All right.
Yes.
Next question. I can't believe we spent that long on that question, but it's a good one. Next question. Trabant44 asks, "What is the dumbest car opinion you have ever heard?"
Oh.
Let me.
Are you putting it to me or are you putting it to a producer? Because one of those is acceptable.
Our producer has some humdingers.
There are some bad ones, but I've never heard one that makes me be like, "That is really dumb." Like I don't know. Maybe over the
There's so
years.
many that you forget.
We
You
went.
forget some dumb ones generally. But
Our friend Kevin once said that the 355 is the perfect car to EV swap. Now, for reliability, I could see it. However, there are two reasons to own a 355. One is the way it looks, and the other is the sound it makes. And you're taking away probably the more important
you
of the
got
two.
speakers.
It doesn't
Ionic
make
5
the
in it.
sound most of the time.
It makes it enough.
I don't know. I've never
I
heard
don't
any
know.
really crazy dumb opinions that I can just remember offhand.
Right. That I can remember hard. I try to like get them out of my memory.
Okay. Keep thinking on it.
I'll keep.
Next question from Brandon TRD. Question for all. Will you get your children cheap, cool / enthusiast cars for their first car, even if they are not interested in cars? If so, what would you want them to drive? Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you, Brandon.
Happy holidays indeed.
I don't plan to get, I want my children something safe when they turn 16 because I've seen 16-year-old, I got two boys. I've seen 16-year-old men-ish boys drive.
Right. They want an F40.
Yeah, we do.
My answer is that I think that because we're all car people, we'll all be inclined to get something a little bit on the more interesting side, but like marginally.
I just want something safe. If they want to get something interesting, they got to work for it. They pay like I had to. I think I just want to get something safe and boring.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. But I think it can be there is value to it being interesting. They are more likely to care about it, more likely to treat it well if they're
That was my case, certainly. And I did take very good care of it.
Maybe. That's a
But that's
point.
because it's me. It
Right,
depends on
the guy you
on
sold
your
it to.
kids.
Jeez.
Right.
Look at him.
I think
know.
we're all
Ugh.
Ken and I don't have
Poor
kids.
car. It was so beautiful.
That Ken knows
I'll
about.
fix that car right now. Pull up the VIN.
Ken and I don't have
I'll
kids.
find it for you
Doug
later.
has two kids, but they're still ways removed from driving age. I think we're not ready for the question.
We're not ready for the question, but in the spirit of the question, I really do think an enthusiast car would not be my top choice. I just want safe, boring, simple.
I'm gonna keep going with the stance of like it'll be something a little bit more interesting that they might have some interest in, or that at least you want to see parked in front of your house, like
Just gotta keep up appearance.
like a Corolla hatchback instead of a regular Corolla.
I don't. I just safe.
You don't care about those
comfortable.
cars, anyways.
No, I actually like the Corolla hatchback a lot. And when I see them, I think to myself, that would be a great rally car. And then they made the Junior Corolla. You see a Corolla hatch on the road, it's like wide. It looks
looks
would be a
good.
4-wheel drive.
Shout out to Julia and Tristan who own one.
Okay, next question from Danger D. This is a great one. And I think it's for us.
Okay.
Considering how hesitant Filippo is to make a decision, see the 3-car garage video. How is he able to manage an organization like Cars and Bids? Damn.
That's a
That
great
cuts.
one. That really cuts.
I mean, it's there's a lot of new, like, did I ask this? Did I did I come up with a burner account and ask this question?
Filippo is because other people have opinions and Filippo then weighs them. And that's how he will.
People have opinions about what I should buy.
He's like the president.
Yeah, but
he
like
doesn't
this
make
is
the decisions. He consults all the advisors and then kind of like
based on
they
how
does
things
like
are going.
long cost benefit analysis, and then he eventually decides in some manner that sort of placates all of them a little bit and isn't really.
As I wouldn't call us a startup so much anymore, but as a nimble company, it's like often decisions happen quickly. But with Filippo with doing all this, there's room to take time and really think about it. He's got time.
I think that the problem with the car, the difference between the two is at Cars and Bids, he can make a decision and sort of make a, let's try this, let's do. A car is an all or nothing. You buy it or you don't.
That's what it is. It's that the business has to make money. And that's what he wants to is make business make money. With him, again, the car thing he's hung up on is spending money. He can't handle spending money.
He has trouble spending money.
But you can make money by being more efficient through operations.
Very funny how wrong you are about this.
We're wrong about this?
Yeah. The big difference, because I actually do not have nearly that much trouble making a decision like what house to buy. We've bought and sold houses way easier. The issue is that purchasing a car is all about my own enjoyment.
Oh,
and I don't
trouble doing something for his own enjoyment.
Like I weigh that very differently than like a business decision or something that's like a clear pragmatic decision. Way
that's
easier
the
than
difference.
It's
pragmatic versus fun. He doesn't do fun.
Right. that is a much
not
more
sure
correct
if that's
answer.
better than what
No.
I don't think
it's not better. It's not better. And it's also being brutally honest about this is a good therapy session here.
This is good. Into some Filippo stuff.
Well, except for like we got you to spend money on tennis shoes and a tennis racket.
Yeah, I bought a pair of tennis shoes.
I know, but that's like that was more money you've ever spent on a pair of shoes in your life.
True.
And the racket was expensive.
So true.
What do those shoes cost?
$70. Well, the same shoes you wear.
I don't know.
You bought them last week.
I know, but I didn't have a choice. It was just like I'll buy these whatever they cost. They're inelastic.
I think $70 or $80.
The price of tennis shoes is inelastic.
It's for me. It's inelastic. These shoes make me a superhero. I need them.
Do they light up?
They could charge $10,000 and I'd still buy them.
Thankfully, they charge 70 or 80.
All right, next question from Pirate Boy. You've answered the question, Filippo, in a great way, and I appreciate that. Filippo does not spend money on joy.
Yeah,
and
that is the summarization of it.
Pirate Boy says, with Audi discontinuing the A5, S5, RS5 Coupes in 25,
sort of,
the Volkswagen Group will know. What do you mean, sort of?
Well, yeah,
they're still doing the hatchbacks.
No,
that's the point. The Coupes. He said the Coupes.
Well, BMW calls them Coupes.
Okay. VW Group will no longer produce any two-door coupes in the United States. German coupes are becoming less desirable to enthusiasts, less common every day. Do you think there will be a price increase for well-maintained, used German coupes and sedans following this trend in the coming years? I have to say, I think the answer is probably no, because I think that the reason these cars are being discontinued is because demand is drying up. And so my view is like there's just less buyers for them on the new market. There's probably going to be fewer buyers for them on the used market too.
Yep.
A really nice, well-maintained RS5 is going to do well. RS5 V8, S5 V8 with a stick. But I think that was always going to be true.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if they had continued making them, just because those were desirable cars, V8 power manual transmissions in the case of the S5.
Yeah, totally.
There's no market for them. Honda's coming out with a new Prelude.
Yeah.
But it's a Civic coupe, which exists.
But it's going to be a hybrid and all
right.
That.
It's like and sure, Mercedes still sells the CLE, whatever the heck it's called. I know.
Prelude.
I know.
Okay.
Some words he's only seen written.
Right. English is not his first language.
that is one of those words you see written. I'm not watching videos about Preludes.
That's one of those words you see written.
On the wall. It's it's just
there's no real market. And I don't
military. That's one of those words you hear spoken. Prelude.
I also don't. I'm not convinced I'm wrong.
Oh my god!
I mean, people aren't saying prelude a lot.
That is why I reacted the way. That's why it hit all of our ears the same way.
I saw. Yeah, it hit my own ears.
Thinking is they're coming out with a coupe. It's surprising.
Who's the market?
The coupe thing is dead. When I was a kid, a child, mind you,
the baby, toddler,
there were coupes of every. People watch this on Christmas when they're trying to celebrate the holidays.
He's over here saying prelude.
There were coupes of everything. All right, the Toyota Echo had a coupe.
Toyota Echo was exclusively a coupe.
There was a 4-door, and in Canada there was a hatchie.
Yeah, the Vitz.
And there were coupes of everything. The Chevy Cavalier had a coupe. The Pontiac Sunburn. I mean, it was like if you had a car, you had a coupe. Remember Hyundai came out with an Elantra coupe at the tail end of that, like thinking that they could do it still. And now it's just all, people get to say, I was told by someone in product planning high up in a car company once that part of the problem is that it used to be that to get a coupe was the only way you could get kind of a sporty feeling car. Now you can buy any crossover and have about the same level of performance that all those coupes used to have without sacrificing anything.
I think Mercedes-Benz was the one who really changed that with the CLS. It proved that you could have coupe-like styling, which was more beautiful, but you could have 4 doors.
And then BMW came out with the X6 and may give you a coupe at an SUV.
Yeah.
Boom.
I just think the market shifted for whatever reason. Maybe it'll shift back someday, but it's probably, I don't think there's going to be a specifically huge market just because these cars were discontinued. I think that the special ones will have value, but not because they went out of production.
To be clear, the market shifts all the time. You think the Hupmobile, big car. Then we got the Isetta, and then, the big American boats, and then went back. It's just like there's always this like.
I do think that the shift to SUVs is permanent in the sense that it's not like a simple market shift. It someday that too will be disrupted, but we're talking about like a generation.
Generation, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Not actually permanent, but like nears makes no difference in terms of what the automakers are doing and what happens to the used values of this stuff. Next question. This one's deeply from Filippo, from JN Moen. What are your thoughts on the Fiat 500e 0 down, $0 a month lease?
Great deal.
So it was announced. You want to tell the story?
Yeah,
I'm sure you know it.
In Colorado, because Colorado has some additional state incentives, you can lease a 500e for $0, and literally all you're paying is tax, because there is tax on the lease, and that is literally all you're paying. And it seems like a great deal.
Explain this to me.
Explain.
I didn't understand it at the time.
I just did.
Why are you paying tax if your payment is 0?
The way that tax on a lease is assessed is not based on your actual payment amount. It's based on the value of the car that's then amortized across.
Regardless, so Colorado has this. There's a dealer in Colorado, not the whole state, not the Fiat,
but they're like
there's
available.
A dealer that's advertising a 0 down, $0 a month lease on a Fiat 500.
Or effectively that plus taxes.
Free car.
Yeah, free car.
And someone's asking, what is our thought?
Do it. If you have Colorado's tax incentives have meant that there are weird cases with this, because the federal tax incentives apply.
Joe
and
is leasing a Nissan Leaf for, what is it, $39?
I know. And then he texted me the other day and said, should I do the 500e? And I said, Joe, just keep the Leaf. Like, come on.
Colorado has all these incentives to get people to go EV. The person saying this said, I just picked one up and I'm incredibly surprised how fun this is. I got to say, the Fiat 500e has not been well received. It is not selling well. I had one as a press car. If you're like, here's the case for it. You're an old lady who's like, kids are gone. You have a little dog. You drive to the store.
No.
It's a cute little fun car. It's free.
It's a good car that's not worth the $40,000 that it costs.
Right.
But it is worth $0 down, $0 a month.
It's worth free.
It's worth tax.
If we lived in Colorado, at the moment my driveway would have a Leaf EV and a Fiat 500 EV, and maybe whatever other ones you can get for $20 a month.
At this number, it's like when the press car company texted me the other day or emailed me and said, hey, we got a Kia K4 for you. Do you want it? I just say yes to all of them. You would just do this, right?
Yeah, but without a single doubt. Why not?
Even if you don't need it, it's like, it's free. So
why not?
Even if we need it just to like drive up the street when it's snowing one day to get
right, like
malted milk balls.
Well, like you said a couple weeks ago, at some point, cars value becomes so low it becomes attractive. Turns out it's free
for some cars. It's free.
Yeah.
I think differently than a lot of the masses do about the Fiat 500e. I actually kind of thought
it was just so it's overpriced.
It's just
what Christmas song does it play when you
Jingle Bells when you turn
Jingle
over.
Bells.
Yeah.
Right. So now is the season to go buy or lease a 500.
That is so true.
Nice. Well said.
Thank you.
Okay, next question from M. Delatorre. How did your relationship with Farah start? I watched your Smoking Tire podcast episode this week, and then he says, I don't like Farah, but how do you like it? Well, all right. Farah is like a New York guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so he's very abrupt with his opinions, like New York people are. Like if you go to New York, people have no problem like just kind of yelling on the street at people they just met, like getting into arguments. Like it's like common how people, that's true in Long Island, it's true in North Jersey, it's true in that whole area.
Yeah.
Connecticut is more genteel.
A little bit. A lot.
And so you just kind of have to go in with that knowledge. And also I think that the simple truth is that like there's only 20 of us who do this, right? Yeah. Like YouTube car content creating. Yeah. And we all share like a very significant bond. And I think that no matter how a person, I like Farah personally very much. I think he's great. But even if he wasn't, like you sit with some of these people, some of the other YouTube content car creators I don't like as much. You still like, you have so much in common that like, you're always going to want to chat with them and be like friendly with them and have a lot to discuss with them. How did the relationship start? Here's the story. You want to hear the story?
Please.
First time I ever met Matt Farah. Summer of 2013. Okay.
Wow. 12 years.
I was driving across the country in my Cadillac CTS-V wagon. And we happened to be at the Peterson Museum for some event. And then afterwards, Farah was hosting all the Jalopnik writers for a podcast at his house, which at the time was near the airport. And I went there to the event and then the house podcast thing. And I was on with all the other Jalopnik guys. I did like occasional guest columns on Jalopnik, but they were pretty popular. And so I was there with, I don't remember who, Travis Okolski was one of them. I don't remember the other guys who were there. But I bet the episode is still around. You can go see it. That was the first time I met him. It was 11 years ago. Wow. And at the time, Farah, by the way, was always tremendously nice to me when I was starting out. He recognized early that I was a good writer, I was like a gifted, funny writer. He would comment very positive things on my articles, which is really nice because young people starting out to hear from a guy like Matt, hey, this is cool. That's a big deal. And so then I went on the pod and he was like very nice on the pod, like making sure to include me, even though I was in this room of guys who had done this before. I was really anxious. And that's how my relationship with Farah started. And over the years, my stature in this business has grown, but like I've always had huge respect for Farah for treating me that way at the beginning. And he's always been really great to me. Even when, I started creating more YouTube videos and more, we have our own podcast and all that. Like he could be like, this jerk's doing my stuff. But he's always been just like, there's room for everybody. Come on in. And that's always been great.
Yeah. Farah is personally, I've always watched him since the Garage 419 days with the mutton chops and everything. And to see like him evolve as a person and as a presenter over time and his write, he's just a wonderful writer.
He's a good writer. Every time I go there, I am hit by the fact that he is like more and more emotionally mature, sometimes in ways that I wish that I was. He's older than me. And I think he's seen more stuff than me, but he comes to conclusions like 2 years before me sometimes.
Wow.
Like I remember with West Side Collector Car Stores, so why'd you call it West Side? You can't expand all over the world. He goes, I don't need to expand all over the world. I'm just happy with a couple locations that make money. And now that's how I feel. But like at the time, I was in I want to expand all over the world phase. And that's the kind of thing that he comes up with,
And this podcast originally was a live show that we did with Cars and Bids. And he was the very first person.
First guest. Yeah. We love Matt.
And I just have such admiration for him too.
I do admire someone who says stuff as openly, honestly, and abruptly as he does.
Absolutely. It's refreshing, honestly. It really is.
Agreed. And I think that turns people off.
Right. I actually share a lot of his opinions. Maybe that's why I like him so much. But the one takes, that format also, the one take format was brilliant. So but yeah, he and Zach too.
People also don't love because he gets political. And we don't ever. No. I mean, Filippo sometimes will...
I know where Filippo was on January 6th.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know what he was doing? He was calling the FBI naming names.
He was with Emily's dad.
He was crying about how Bernie Sanders didn't make it. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, love Matt. I actually really do love Matt, and I think he's really great. And I think the people who don't love him, I think that the harshness of his personality can sometimes get to people. I think the politics gets to people. I think generally, though, he's a really good guy.
The Smoking Tires are the podcast that I listen to most consistently.
Yep. And it's a really excellent
some NPR podcasts. But
next question from B.W. Smith, the NPR podcast. See, I told you, he's crying about Bernie Sanders.
Wait! Don't tell me it's a great program.
B.W. Smith says,
long-running quiz show.
If you could resurrect a dead car brand and run it yourself, what would it be and what would the lineup consist of? Filippo, tell us about Saab.
I would restart the car company Autobianchi, which was an Italian car brand that made two atrocious cars. And I would recreate those cars. No, I don't know. I got to think more about this.
Hey, Ken, I got one for you.
The A112, please.
I got one for you.
You want the A112?
Yeah. I would resurrect BMW L.
Nice.
Maybach.
And then pull up the Autobianchi Y10, please.
This is just, we're really in the weeds on it.
The Y10 was for sale for a long time. I had a friend whose mom owned one.
God, I hope we can edit all this out.
They're such deeply mediocre automobiles. Like small city cars is what I would actually want to create. I want to create cool, very practical, efficient, affordable, safe small city cars.
I'll take it. I bring it back.
Yep. All right.
Duesenberg.
Yeah.
I think no, something like that would be cool.
He's over
Duesenberg
here.
at Packard.
I want to make little city cars. For
I do.
for the people to go. Duesenberg, I want to run your city cars
I
off the
want
road.
a better version of a
That's
Fiat
right, get
Panda.
out of the
Like what the Fiat Panda could have become.
Actually, think about Duesenberg as an EV brand with like big, opulent luxury sedans would be pretty.
Congratulations. Welcome to Rolls-Royce Bentley, the new Jaguar, or many other brands.
Yeah, but he's going to do it different, man. He's going to have big old chrome.
Right. It won't be woke like Jaguars.
Woke, go broke. Duesenberg ain't going to be woke.
No,
I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you what, those titans of industry drive those things.
You're
won't
going
be
to still make advertisements aimed only at men like they used to do back in the day. Remember, what was the car company's slogan was ask the man who owns one? It's like Hudson.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who was Hudson?
Packard or something. Unbelievable.
Maybe it was Packard.
But it was literally ask the man who owns one. Duesenberg would be cool to resurrect. A small city car company would be very Philippian to resurrect.
Yep.
I don't really know. I think the dead ones deserve to die. I always felt Pontiac could have done better if it had been run better and had its own budget, but it never would.
it never would.
GM.
What about Plymouth?
And GM doesn't need more brands. Plymouth was a disaster and never needed to be where it was. I would actually prefer to kill a bunch of brands.
What about
than resurrect
AMC?
any.
That's
AMC?
Yeah.
Well, AMC wasn't a brand. It was a brand, but it was an automaker. Jeep's AMC. All that trickled down, man. Renault was there.
Renault's still there.
Yeah, but AMC and Renault did some stuff
Yeah, they
in
did.
Wisconsin.
That's right.
Your hometown.
That's right.
Wisconsin, is that a state or a city? No, I'm kidding. I know that. Nobody else in California does, but I do.
that is so.
Which one of it? Which is it?
Yeah.
Is that the same as Iowa?
My friend Kevin, who is from here, once asked if Idaho and Ohio were next to one another. It's like, well, they are, except for the states in between.
The coastal elites have trouble with the fact that Idaho, Iowa, and Ohio all exist. Now,
Very troublesome.
as someone who's obviously been to all those places, spent time in all those places, they're so vastly different that it's hard. It's like
It's
as
hard to
different as
explain.
California and New York. But the elites only know California and New
Right.
York. Idaho, Iowa, Ohio, they're like mind blown.
I think it should be mandatory that everybody like drives across the country, like just sees how big it is and sees the differences between all these little states.
Yeah.
In there, I think,
Right.
well, not so little, I guess, but just the states.
Can they skip Nebraska?
No, that's part of the point.
it.
And by the way, Omaha
part
and
of it.
Lincoln are not bad.
Yeah, Omaha
but-
rules. I like Omaha a lot.
Have you driven through Nebraska?
Well,
I
yeah, a
have
lot
many
of it's
times.
tough.
Kansas?
And I think even Nebraskans would agree. Okay, next, I don't know how we got on the dead car brand thing. What dead car brand would I resurrect? I don't know. I really, truly don't know. I can't think of any that I want to bring
What
back.
about pre-merger AMG?
No, I like post-merger AMG. I like how the market has evolved, to be perfectly honest. You think of one, you tell me. Okay, next question from Alec. Just Alec. Probably got that in
Saturn.
June of 20. I don't want to bring Saturn
Composite
back.
body panels.
I don't want Saturn to come back. They died for
Aura.
a really good reason. Yeah, the Aura.
Sazetta Marauder.
That does not need to come back either. I was exploiting Gandini in his low period. Okay, from Alec. What is the quirkiest car accessory that is offered by an OEM, or what are your all-time favorite accessories?
Oh, there's so many good ones.
He says like the gun safe thing for the Sequoia. I can't think. I
The
don't know.
coffee
that.
maker
the
and
Aztec had.
the Fiat 500L.
The Aztec 10.
Yeah.
The Fiat 500L had a coffee maker that fit in a cup holder. And that's pretty good.
It had a coffee maker. Pull this up.
Wait, you said
The Fiat 500L coffee maker. It may have been.
You know what it is? The iPod and the 430 Scoot.
Oh yeah, the second generation iPod Touch and the 430 scooter.
Oh my God, this is unbelievable.
The 16M actually, but
Yeah, the 16M.
I'll pull that up in a second. But
Oh,
wow.
we got to get one of these. Can I,
know,
use
we
this
really
as a water
do.
bottle?
No,
It has the 500 logo on it.
I know it's so cool.
got
Why
a
haven't
little
I gone on
gauge.
eBay and found? Well, for the pressure for the espresso.
Yeah.
Why
it
haven't
looks
I
like
gone on eBay and found one of these? I know
This is
what I'm doing
unbelievable.
later.
That is a really good one.
Also, because surely it fits in any 500 cup holder or any cup
Pull up-
holder at all.
Pull up the 430 Scoot iPod.
It's
Yeah.
the 16M.
Yeah, the 16M. I'm sorry. Yes, there was the convertible.
Yes. Yeah. So if you bought a 16M back in period, they came with a second generation iPod Touch
Ha.
with Ferrari stuff loaded on it. Like they changed the background of the prancing horse,
They
and it had like,
realized where the market was going. They just didn't adapt correctly.
and you can tell not an iPhone because you have music, videos, photos, and I think the browser. But
Right.
that's
Like
it.
they knew people would be
Or
using their
iTunes, rather.
iPhones to control in-car. They just didn't realize that you wouldn't actually stick the thing in the middle and be looking at it while tilting your head.
Right.
Right.
That hadn't hit
So many of these I've seen just deleted altogether, which is not a surprise. But man, I would if I saw. I mean, you don't see 16Ms often, but I'm looking for that iPod Touch every time I see one.
The correct answer to this, of course, is the
Aztec 10.
F50 shoes.
Oh, the F50 shoes. Yeah,
I spend not a zero amount of time on eBay looking for F50 shoes, and I would pay real money.
they don't.
Real money. They don't.
They must never come
Never
up. The Todds.
Would you want it to be your size?
Yeah,
Well, that
I
one
would.
has an F50.
Oh, there's my actual.
There's your
that's my
post of it.
post. So they sell a replica. This is on eBay right now, and they sell a replica of it. And it has the Ferrari logo on the top. But if you pull back out to an actual F50 pair,
Doesn't say F50.
F50 pairs say F50.
Whoa.
They don't just have the Ferrari logo. The replicas now have the Ferrari logo.
That's how you know who's a poser.
Posers have the Ferrari logo. Real adults like Filippo and me.
Yep.
We got F50 shoes.
That we do.
Now, the F50 shoes, driving shoes, were delivered with the new F50s, and the F50 actually came with an enormous amount of accessories, and an F50 is considered complete when it has all the accessories, which basically none of them do.
Yeah, which is the soft top, the hard top with the circus box, all the tools that go with it, the two roll hoops that attach to it, the shoes.
There was a bunch of stuff.
There's the flashlight that's in the middle of the car. There's what else?
There's a ton. There are books. There's all sorts of books.
Oh yeah, all the
the F50s had a ton of stuff, but the shoes, shoes are out there with some of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life.
Cover. F50 cover. It doesn't say they don't say what it is, just the big horse on the front, little horse on the back, and that's all.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's got to have all that stuff. Anyway, very cool.
By the way, I don't think I would ever be able to find them my size. My presumption is they were all kind of smaller. I have 14 size shoes.
I would assume. How many original owners do you think just kept them or just didn't even care, never knew?
Right. Okay, next question from Langa DMD. When is Filippo actually going to buy a car? I will give you 30 seconds to answer this.
Ready?
Go.
Steady, go.
The real answer is that the next time I actually really need a car, I will buy one.
So what have you been doing to us all this time?
I don't need one. It's been over it.
He's moved on. He's not even gonna. He's back to his 500 a barn.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the fact that we tease him about this.
No, I don't mind. I think it's very, very acceptable given my behavior.
Not just
my
us, the
behavior
internet.
has begotten the teasing, and that is what it is.
Wow. Okay. That was easy. Okay, here's another question from M. Delatorre. This is a good one. Hello, gang. If you had the chance to drive any race car on any track, what would you pick? Predictions. Well, there are predictions, but let's just answer the question.
No, I want to
Any race car on any track.
I got nothing.
Any race car on any track. Any race car on any track.
I mean, I don't know how to drive. This is presuming I have the driving skills I currently have. So any race car would just be utterly terrible.
Well, maybe. I mean, you could probably go old.
I think.
Then again, that's also utterly terrifying.
Yeah, manual. I think
short wheelbase around.
Probably Niki Lauda's 312 T2. I think would be the one that he drove in 1976 against James Hunt. I think that would be. I'll pull it up so you can see it. I think that would probably be the one I'd want to drive. I just think those cars. I just love that car. It's so cool. And like to drive one of Senna's cars would be amazing. But they're 800 horsepower. Don't weigh anything. It's like I don't have the skills to control it. This was about 400 horsepower, a little bit more. I think.
You think you could drive this thing?
It's a manual. I think I could. I'm not gonna drive it quickly, but just to like experience like a Ferrari Formula One car, that would be like tenable. I think I could handle that. Like the Schumacher era stuff, like it has to be so precise. The tires have to be out. You would never be able to keep temperature in anything.
There's some video on YouTube where some
Richard Hammond drove Fernando Alonso's Renault
and like can't keep it moving.
One, I have been in a modern Formula One car. Right. I've sat in one and tried to press the brake pedal. A normal human can't. Like it just requires so much pressure to actuate the brake pedal. But this was a little bit more conventional, and that car was iconic, and it's always been one I've been like fascinated. I'd love to know what it's like.
Well, okay, if I'm picking that 70s boring car, my answer is the McLaren F1 GTR. Ooh, could have had it, but you didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Ferrari F50 GT1. Could have had it, but you didn't. Filippo's opening his computer to figure out what a race car is. He's like, I don't know.
Isn't the F50 GT1, isn't that sequential manual, not actual?
No way. You think they developed a sequential manual for the two F50 GT1s that exist? You out of your mind.
I believe they did, because wasn't the 333, which shared the same drivetrain, also?
You're crazy. Pull up the interior. Come on. We're on a tangent here. Filippo's just doing work.
No.
Oh, are you right?
I believe I am. Yeah, that's a crash box.
A crash box? No one knows what that means.
I'm pretty confident that is.
Sean, what's the answer to this? He doesn't know. He's clueless.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's...
Okay, fine.
I mean, that's not... Yeah,
that doesn't change my answer. Imagine screaming around on an F50 GT1.
That would be cool. F1 GTR is a good call.
F1 GTR.
But say yours says F1 and mine is an F1 car. That's the difference there. But
I won Le Mans.
Yeah, this won a world championship in 1977, but it won.
I won Le Mans, the whole thing. Ueno Clinic.
Ueno Clinic.
What's yours?
All right, 10 to 15 years ago, there was a revival of spec series racing, and
God.
Honda sold a Honda Fit for B spec series. There was a Mazda 2 that was the same thing, and choose the track of your choice. Monza, Spa, I don't know, something like that, and bring a B spec Honda Fit.
Here's what the guy says. Kenan, here's what the guy says. Kenan, easy.
Look at that. Look at that.
Ken, what was your track?
Oh, if I would have picked for that car.
That car.
I mean, well, Spa would probably be. I mean, Spa is just so fast. Like that's my favorite race track.
Not in the Fit, it's not.
Probably Spa. We'll say Spa.
Okay, this is the guy's prediction.
Okay,
Kenan, Ferrari F1 car at Monaco or Monza?
The Italian thing, yeah.
Monaco would be cool.
No, Monaco's way too technical. I'd be so afraid of
Doug, a little harder. GT40 around Daytona or an F1 GTR at Le Mans? I picked F1 GTR at Le Mans, and I actually didn't see that he wrote that. And listen to this. Filippo, not sure if he can name a race car. Indeed, he cannot. A 500 bar spec series.
Well done.
That is incredible. I just want to just drive home the point. Okay, there's my car. Here's Doug's car. There's Filippo.
Yeah.
Doesn't that just say everything about us?
I support
really does.
all of this.
Next question from Mighty Must. Hey guys, if you could be the CEO of an automaker, which one would it be and what would you change? Boy, Porsche, because it'd be easy.
Would it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Taycan's doing well.
But all the other automakers are in really bad
it's
shape.
an interesting question because you
Porsche's
wouldn't
killing.
want to choose an automaker that is so entrenched in its ways that you can't change anything. Or you can't make it better. Like Nissan, for example. Or even like Toyota, Honda. Like they're interesting, but they have such a culture around them and a way that they work that I don't think it's interesting. You want something that you can like actually have an impact over.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jaguar.
Well,
no, I'm joking.
Well, the entrenchment thing is one thing. It's like it would be great to be CEO of Ferrari and make them develop a manual transmission car, but they're so entrenched. There's no way that they would do that. I don't think they haven't yet.
Cool, I agree, and I thought about that, but like
they're also doing well.
Other stuff, CEO does more than just make Ferrari make it. Other stuff would not be tremendously exciting. I think running Ferrari, maybe it would. Maybe to be the running Ferrari, that would.
I think
cool.
running, the prestige of that brand, and then you get to oversee the F1 team in Classic K, and you get to do all this stuff. I mean, and you could that would be an initiative. I'd build that out more in support for the older cars, and then for the newer stuff, continue to develop stuff, and then you got the racing. I mean, that would be. I mean, and Ferrari is my thing, but I'm not Italian, so that'll never happen, obviously. For a variety.
It'd be hard to have a CEO named Kenan Rolson.
I know. I mean, hey, Ferrari North America, John Elkann, my man.
Yeah, but he's in North America. That's the point.
I know. Exactly. I would be relegated to the U.S.
I don't know. I think running a car company would be really hard, especially right now.
I think there's
crazy political stuff. There's crazy propulsion. And
is it fun if it's not hard?
It would be fun for a lot of people, maybe perhaps for you. I don't think it would be fun in my life situation.
Joy.
I don't get joy from that grind.
I think there would be legitimate joy from a manufacturer that is growing in some way but struggling in others, which is maybe every manufacturer, but like somebody like Lucid where they have great engineering, great product, but have not broken through. I think there's something fun there. I think even a manufacturer like Hyundai or Kia where they have great momentum, and it's a question of like, how do you maintain that?
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
That would, it'd be fun to be a winner, in other words.
No,
it'd be fun to run a winner.
For Ferrari, Porsche.
Which horse could you have as a secretariat?
No, but with challenge, with like some ability to actually impact direction.
I agree. I think it would be cool, and I think a lot of the company, it would be cool to just sit in that seat for a while and see all the stuff that goes on. It would be hard. It'd be really hard. Those people who run that thing, those people who run those companies kind of make it look easy in the sense that their PR teams put them in situations where they're like shaking hands with school children
or
at Metro Detroit.
Setting a top speed record.
Or setting a top speed record, and it ain't easy.
No.
Okay, next question. From Canadale 1974. This is a great question that I'm glad somebody asked. Think about it all the time. Be honest, do you think that since acquiring your Carrera GT that your popularity has diminished somewhat? Years ago, you had appealing virtue to be very relatable. Yes. So let me tell you a story. When I bought the Carrera GT, I put up the video about buying the Carrera GT, and that video was beloved.
Did well.
Absolutely beloved. I was getting messages and emails from people who I had no idea even watched the channel, who are very high profile. I can't believe this. This is congratulations, And the day that was all happening, it was hitting me like, this is going to go exactly the other direction. Like I could tell this is going to swing the exact other way. And it did. And I think what happens is that, everybody loves you on your way up, you know? And when you actually get there, they've been cheering for you the whole time. And then it's like, now you're the rich guy who has, people get a little pissed, honestly, that like you've actually achieved what you set out to do. And I think there's some anger that, hey, you had a business. Like that you were just a guy reviewing cars. It's like, well, actually, it's always been a business. I don't know if you were paying attention.
Interesting.
And I have found that. And to be honest, I knew it. But I wasn't not going to get the car. And I wasn't not going to sell the business. And I wasn't not going to start the business. And I actually think that is one of the things that has kept some of my fellow creators from trying to expand even more into more businesses and into more just a better financial situation, because they know that their audience will turn on them.
Yep.
And I wouldn't say my audience turned on me, but there's a large portion of people now who just are like, anytime I make any opinion comment on YouTube, on any one of these shorts go up, Doug, the comments always are, Doug is out of touch now. And it's like, sometimes it's insane. I got one the other day. One guy criticized me for not liking the T50 because I'm rich now and out of touch. And it's like,
what? You kind of have to be.
Wait a minute. What? It doesn't matter what the opinion is. But that has definitely happened. And I don't really blame people. People like the underdog, you know. People like the story of Doug in his shorts reviewing cars up against Motor Trend, which was how it was when I started. And when it becomes Doug achieved the dream and got the Carrera GT, I always assumed that the people would be there and be like, we were here with you on this journey. We're happy for you. But instead, it sort of started to become like, you are, and the funny thing is, I haven't changed. Like, I'm still wearing the shorts. I still poke around the cars, do the same thing. The videos are largely the same pre and post. Like, I think most people wouldn't be able to tell any difference. But people know now. And so regardless of how I behave, there will always be an attribution to me. Like, he is this thing. He is rich. He is success. You know, that, and then all these ways to try to be like, well, he only did it because he had whatever they want to make up. And so
do you think that, I mean, you couldn't have, but there's something to like achieving success and piecing out.
And I'll tell you this, the last year has made me realize and understand why some of these rich people kind of stick together. Like, you get into a situation where you're in this thing and it's like, I did this, I achieved this, this is amazing, and I want to celebrate with my tribe. And the tribe is like not there with you and angry about it. And so who do you turn to? It's like, I talk to Farah, right? I talk to other people who are like in this small community, and you start to realize why like these communities start to band together. Here's why you don't ever see Brad Pitt on the streets, right? Because people on the streets, they freak whatever. Whereas he can talk to George Clooney, they text, you know, they're all good. It's kind of an interesting situation. I've never wanted to just bail. I still love doing it. And honestly, I think the question is predicated on the fact that a lot of people watch all these videos frequently. I think most of my audience is still people who are just showing up from YouTube algorithm and don't care that much that it's me. But I do think that a lot of the long-term audience doesn't view me as relatable anymore, even though I'm the same dude and I still buy cheap shorts, you know?
Yep. And occasionally lightweight long pants.
Yeah, they're still cheap.
Every
I wonder
t-shirt
if
you
it's
see
like
wears.
you think Enya went through the same thing? Because Enya famously just pieced out from like stop performing, just disappeared to Castle Island.
I still love it. I still love doing it.
Yeah.
I love making the videos. And I really think that 99% of my audience, they don't care about any of this. They don't care about the success. They don't care about the Carrera GT. They want to watch a video on a Valkyrie. And that's going to show them how all the buttons work. Mm-hmm. And it's the people who are watching every video who are like, you know, Doug's this now, Doug's that. I'm not making videos for those people anymore. Yep. I'm making videos for people who want good car content, not to get into the drama of YouTube.
Yeah.
Next question from Arctic. It's a good question, and by the way, and it's something I think about a lot, and something I've had to think about a lot in private. So it's interesting to be able to talk about it. Next question from Articus88. When driving your Countach, Carrera GT, or Ford GT, how do you avoid large crowds when pumping gas, or even when you're getting in and out of the car? Do you just try to be quick? I assume you get recognized all the time now. You get tired of answering the same dreaded questions about cars. How often do you get to go on comfortable private joyrides? A few questions in here are, how often do I get stopped by when pumping gas? Actually, not all that frequently, and almost every time I get stopped when pumping gas, it's by a random. Not someone who knows me. It's by like a, what is this car kind of thing. Carrera GT, never, never, ever, ever.
No, it's a Boxster.
Countach virtually every time someone comes up to me.
My dad had a Carrera.
And I do try to be quick. I I'm not tired, though, of answering the same questions. People come up to me all the time. They generally do ask me the same basic stuff. I want a picture, but it's still fun. I still enjoy it. But I do get to go on comfortable private joyrides often by myself. People don't freak out on the freeway that much when I'm in the Carrera GT, which is the car that I mainly take on like fun drives. The Countach is the freak out car, but I usually drive that around when I know that I'm prepared to have some people freak out.
Yep.
Okay, two more questions. Next one from Dita.
Ooh.
What is the best winter beater in your opinion? For me, it's any old Volvo. Can't go wrong with a car made to conquer the wilds of Sweden. In Sweden, the opinion is that it's an old Volvo, but in America, that opinion is not commonly shared.
No, it's just like that it's safe is more of the
Big.
Volvo. Big safe.
Can I be honest? I think the answer is so dependent on. I think in true winter beater fashion is the car that you can buy that fall for use that winter and spring, and then you get rid of it, right? Like if you want like a true winter beater, so it's whatever you can find that is least rusty is your best
answer. The point of a winter beater is not to have it around for like 7 seasons because then it was too nice.
Right.
If it was going to last 7 seasons, it was probably not a beater in the first place.
And I think it's legitimately what like suits your purpose that day. I don't think there's like a good.
I had a winter beater. It was wonderful.
When you
So
moved to California.
No, that's also I was going to say
You had a 330xi.
I had a 330xi. Yeah,
Dude,
Topaz Blue.
you know what the best?
5-speed.
You know what the best winter beater is? 2001 E39 525i and Topaz Blue manual.
No, you want to know the real answer?
Really
Sport
sad.
package.
You want
Buy it off
Sport premium thing.
Outback SUS.
I was going to say
Outback
it's probably
SUS.
some Subaru.
It would not be a head gasket era Subaru, I'll tell you that.
I don't think I would do that.
We are lucky that we do not have to have winter beaters. However, all three of us lived in climates where there were significant winter beaters.
Why can't there be snow here? I want a winter beater.
Filippo lived in
Why
Wisconsin.
can't there be snow here? Go somewhere else.
Filippo lived in Wisconsin, New Hampshire. Ken lived in Northeast Ohio. I grew up in Colorado and lived in Pennsylvania. We've all lived in the snow. We're all thrilled to be away from it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Yeah, I was going to say winter happens everywhere. I'm driving my winter beater now. It's like you can just here. I don't know.
Yeah. It's January. We're driving a winter beater.
The answer is I knew a bunch of people in Madison that had legacy wagons with a stick.
Yeah, stick
And
legacy.
like the stick legacy, a little bit of ground clearance would have been nice, but a stick turbocharged Subaru wagon.
I like going to Michigan and seeing they all drive like Traverses and stuff. I think a good rusty American car.
A good Traverse.
Yeah, 4-wheel drive. What do you mean? It's
all-wheel drive.
It's a car that is disposable.
GMT 800. GMT 800.
No,
So
it's a
Tahoe Suburban.
Yeah, okay, but you buy one with rust on it.
Well, but like not so much rust that it's unsafe.
Correct.
You do reach a point of rust that it's
correct.
Literally
You
unsafe.
buy one with some rust on it already that you don't feel guilty about driving in the winter.
Yep.
You drive it in the winter.
Can I be honest though? Never felt guilty about driving a car in the winter.
Maybe you fluid film the important parts that you don't, the structural stuff you don't want to rust underneath.
Right.
E-Class
that
wagon,
stuff. So I
great
can
winter
picture
beater.
the smell of that stuff. That's
Unless
sweet.
you get cheap, like if you can get a cheap Traverse or Acadia for like $4.
Yeah.
A rusty Traverse by in November.
I will accept this if you name the other two.
Traverse, Acadia. Can you name the other two? Saturn Outlook and what was the other brand?
Wow, such
GMC.
confidence.
Wait, no. I got it. It was
Still for sale, by the way.
Hang on. What do you mean it's still for sale?
Different. It's been redesigned twice, but it's still for sale.
Oh, Buick Enclave. But wait, wasn't there another one also?
No.
Okay.
There were 4.
An Enclave, by the way. A rusty Enclave that you buy on
Heated
Thanksgiving.
seats.
Heated seats.
Ooh, good point.
Last question. And this is a good one. Oh, you want to do that yellow one? Let's do 2 more. Last question and then one last question after that.
Great.
How long until, this is a great idea, how long until Mercedes comes out with a Maybach line for their cars? You know how they have AMG line and it's like a dumbed down version? This is brilliant. This guy's giving, let's go back to the CEO question. I want to be the CEO of Mercedes-Benz so I can implement this. Like, hey, if you will give you Maybach suspension or E220 Maybach line. This is a great idea.
Doesn't it cheapen my?
Yes.
Then again, it worked for AMG.
They
You're right.
AMG, they cheapened M, and it was brilliant. They sell a lot more of those now as a result.
Yep.
This is a brilliant idea.
This is not a bad idea, which is really frustrating. Really
Like,
frustrating.
imagine being like, oh, I got Maybach line seats or Maybach line suspension. Mercedes calls it design or manufacturer. No one knows what that is.
Well,
so my
those
friend-
mean different things.
My friend Nick has an S63, and it has he had a Maybach 57 before that. And his S63 he bought because it has all the Maybach-like stuff. The reclining seats, the picnic tables, all the Maybach stuff, but it doesn't say Maybach anywhere. But if it said
described, first gen CRV has as well.
You're missing many.
You're
points.
missing, yeah.
Many points.
Reclining seats, picnic table.
All right, I'm done. But then the Mercedes loves long names for cars. Then you could have the Mercedes S550, whatever AMG line.
Well,
with the
Maybach line.
you could,
with
but
the
I
technology.
think his point is they could just say, instead of like comfort suspension, they could say Maybach suspension. Or instead of the manufacturer seats or whatever it is, they could Maybach seats. Suddenly you got people paying money.
Pretty good chance this catches on.
This is not a bad idea.
Does it turn out that he actually is the CEO of Mercedes?
His name is Silver 3 Shadow, and he's brilliant.
Oh.
Speaking of Maybach, last question from Julian GRC Ufini, or maybe GR Cufini. Pull up the thing. I saw a V223. I saw a Mercedes-Benz S-Class diesel that had been converted into a shooting brake in Italy, and I have no clue who made it and why. Do you like it? Would you buy one of these if they made one in custom order? Look at this thing. Pull up the back picture. Look at that. This guy, he's
That
in
is
Italy.
so cool.
He's on the Mediterranean driving around in a S-Class. This is an S-Class sedan converted into a wagon.
It doesn't look long enough.
It's definitely an S-Class. Look at the tails. Yeah.
It's an S-Class tails, but is it an S-Class?
Go back to the front picture. It's an S. That's clearly an S-Class in the front.
It's not long enough. Something about this picture is wrong.
Well, because it has a CLA. It has a CLA shooting brake hatch.
Does.
That's where they got it from, I bet.
This is cool.
Do not like it.
Why not?
I like the idea of an S-Class wagon or shooting brake. Go back to the rear.
Dude, I would give anything for them to make an S-Class wagon. I've had so many E-Wagons, and I
will say,
I want the comfort of an S-Class so badly, but I can't.
There was news last week that Shaq had West Coast Exotics make, or Customs, whatever they're called, make a Lucid Air two-door. Go to them and say, hey.
It's just, I want Mercedes-Benz to do it. I love my E-Class wagons. I've had like 5 E-Class wagons. I love it, but the S-Class is such a more comfortable car.
How much more comfortable can it be?
Much. An S-Class is so...
But the wagon will take away from that a little bit.
A little bit.
More noise.
Yes, it would. But I want a more practical S-Class so bad.
There are no big wagons anymore.
There have always been conversions. People have converted S-Classes into wagons going back years and years and years.
To be more rectangular. Like, I don't want a shooting brake. I want a wagon.
But they took the back either from a CLS or a CLA. They got it from
I think
that's
CLS
where it came from.
Shooting brake
I
probably.
wonder what company did this.
Yeah.
It looks decent, but I mean, these pictures aren't.
It looks good.
But
it looks good,
pretty
and it looks subtle, and it's a nice conversion.
Look at that, the Mediterranean.
And with a Fiat Tipo to the
never
left.
know, dude. If you were walking down the street, no one would ever know that this was something that was completely done up custom for this dude. I wonder what the interior looks like.
I can't see much of it, but it looks very S-classy.
That is cool as hell. No, it's absolutely an S-Class. Filippo doesn't know.
No,
I know.
But something about it looks weird. To be clear.
Something about it looks weird. Yeah, the fact that it has a hatchback on it. Why do we let him?
I don't know.
No, like it doesn't look. I know. Whatever. It's fine.
I think it's more the camera and the weird angle.
Yeah, the angle's odd.
To be honest.
Oh, and the fact that it has a hatchback on it.
Oh,
you know what this looks like?
I forgot.
Velcitis. Remember the Velcitis?
Of course, remember the Velcitis. It doesn't look like that at all, which is a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Just not a beautiful automobile. The Velcitis.
All right.
No.
We all love it. We all want it. I would give anything for it. Filippo wouldn't like it or would like it. He's not sure, but he'll have a decision after he reviews the facts and talks to a few people and gets some committee.
Takes it to the committee, gets input. There'll be a vote.
What the P&L impact is. We'll see.
Right. Thank you for watching our special Christmas podcast. We'll be back to you next week with a normal non-Christmas podcast. We're not going to talk about Christmas. We're not going to talk about New Year's. We're not going to talk about snowmen. It's in the past.
Gingerbread cookies?
No. Goodbye, everyone.